Hello everyone, welcome to Triple T Thursday. That's tips, tricks, tutorials. I'm coming at you a little bit early today because I have an appointment later on in the evening that I have to get to. So I want to make sure that I do my live stream and I leave with enough time to make it. So, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. In my haste, what did I do? I forgot to bring a cup of something to drink on. That's my bad. That is my bad. But today I want to share with y'all a story about how one video made me over $10,000, and hopefully you want to hear about this story. And it is a little bit to do with what I have posted recently on my different socials. And so I want to share this story with you. So first of all, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Or if you're new here, nice to see you. And we have to play a game. And of course, that game and the question is going to be, what's in your cup? And that's the part of the show where you tell me what you're sipping on. And yeah, there's that for you. So let's go back just a little bit. A couple weeks ago, y'all know that I was in Dallas for Vid Summit, and then I went to New York, and then I was in Pennsylvania/Pittsburgh for the family reunion for my husband's side of the family. Now, while we were in New York, we saw a few shows, and I think I told you all about that. We saw a couple of Broadway shows, we saw a couple of television shows, and that is going to be the Mark and Kelly show. We saw the Late Night with Seth, and then we saw, of course, the Drew Barrymore show. So, and then we saw Late Night with Stephen Colbert. So we saw all of these shows, and then we saw some Broadway shows, including Six and Juliet and Back to the Future. So one of the shows that I was on, thank you Pixelpia, was the Drew Barrymore show. Now, this one I do say I was on because I did play a part in it, and I want to tell you a little bit about how this experience happened. First of all, there is a site that you can go to, and it is free, and it's called IOTA, I believe it is. My husband is the one who did that. But basically, it is how you get free tickets to go to any of these shows, these television tapings. And so sometimes they'll have you in a lottery. Sometimes you have to just keep checking back. Sometimes you have to, try weeks in advance, stuff like that. And if you are selected, then there's a whole bunch of rules that they want you to follow, like, hey, wear these colors and show up at this time, and they'll walk you through the process of that. Now, for this, we had gotten tickets to the Drew Barrymore show, which I was really excited about because, one, I love her and I like the vibe of the show, and so I was really excited. Then the next thing I know, my husband comes to me and he says, by the way, we have the opportunity. He sent me an email. He's like, you should do this. And what it was an email that stated, hey, we're looking for audience members who might want to participate in the show, answer a trivia question, something like that. So if you would be interested in this, then please submit a 60-second or less vertical. I mean, they just said video. I assumed vertical video. And they said, state your name, where you're from, what your job is, and, just a little bit about yourself and why we should pick you. And he said, you should do this. And I said, I was really hesitant, which is funny because, I make videos for a living. I teach people how to make videos for a living. And I wasn't sure about doing it. And he's like, no, you gotta do this. And so I was like, okay. So I thought I was going to do it one day, and then, it didn't happen. And the next day he's like, you really need to do this video. And I was like, okay, all right. So I make the video, and it's so funny. I did it in a single take. And so it was the fastest editing job ever, I shot vertical. I did this video, and I gave it to him, and I said, do with it what you will. But I was also thinking, like, what are the chances and odds that they're going to pick me? Okay. Well, like, really, really. And when you think about it now, it's not like the audience member pool is that large. We're talking a few hundred people at most, maybe 200-300 people, right? So actually the odds are better than you think, maybe, for being selected for something like that. It's not even something that really came into my brain. And so I didn't hear anything from him because he was the one with the email and everything. And then I did get a message from him when we were at Vid Summit, and they said, hey, we really want to talk to your wife. Does she have 10 minutes to have a phone call with us? And they were like, hey, can you give us some times when you would be available? I did it during my lunch break at Vid Summit. And I thought that actually for a second that it was going to be messed up, because I was like, yeah, this hour I have free, because I was working the room. I was doing the MC gig at Vid Summit. And so I really only had a certain amount of time. And so I gave them that time frame, and then I was waiting around that lunchtime, and I'm like, that's weird, they haven't called. And then I looked and I had a voicemail. And they had called early, and I was like, oh no, what if I got the time wrong because of, I'm in the wrong time zone, something. And then I listened to it, and they said, oh, I'm so sorry. We called you early. We didn't think about that. But if you are free during that, time frame that you said, call us back. So I was like, oh, I was supposed to call them. So I call them back. They're super nice. And they're like, hey, we just want to get, a little bit of info. We want to let you know there's going to be a guest, and that guest is James McAvoy. And do you know anything that he's been in? Or, they wanted to make sure that someone actually knew who the person was. And I was like, yeah, I've seen a couple of his movies. I've seen Wanted. I know he was in, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I know he was, Charles Xavier in the X-Men. And they were like, okay, great. And then they said, we were just making small talk. What are you doing in New York? And then, something like, hey, it could be a trivia question, and we're really just looking for people who can be enthusiastic and happy, and then they closed it with like, have you ever, he's from Scotland, have you ever been to Scotland? I'm like, no. I was like, gosh, wouldn't that be fun to go sometime? And then they said, okay, well, we just want you to know it's between you and a couple of other people, so there's 3 people total, and so we have to make a decision in the next 3 days. And I was like, okay, no problem, no rush, because otherwise, we're just going to go to the show anyway. We're going to have a great time. But if they choose us, then great. It's an additional something to do at the show. So, I told my husband, I'm like, okay, well, that was the 10-minute phone call. Hello, Chantel. Hello, Home Rapid Repair. Good to see you. And yeah, it was real. And we're telling the story now. And then they responded back basically in like the next day or that night even. It wasn't even the end of the day like they had promised. They were like, hey, we want to go with you for the trivia question. I was like, sweet. Oh, that's awesome. And they were like, please let us know what you're going to be wearing. And I said, okay, I'm going to be wearing this, which it was only clothes that I'd packed for a Vid Summit. So I was like, I'm going to wear, they were like solid colors, blah, 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 no logos. And I was like, I'm going to wear this dress I was wearing as an MC for Vid Summit. So I sent him a photo, and I was like, this is the dress. Is this okay? And then I had my YouTube boots, because I had talked in my little 1-minute video about cowboy boots and blinging them and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, is it okay if I wear the boots? And they were like, with the logo, maybe not. And I was like, that's totally cool. I can wear flats. Totally fine. So they were like, okay, great. When you get here, can you please text me at this number and let me know that you've arrived, and I'll come and at least say hi to you before the show. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I texted, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. And they came down and they met me, and they just like, shook my hand and said, this is kind of how it's going to go. We're going to play a game. And like really, like their feedback was, there is no reaction that's too big. We're really looking for like a lot of enthusiasm and excitement. And they're like, really, there's no reaction over the top. It makes for good television, basically. Please, like, jump and hoot and holler and all the things. Be excited. And I was like, okay, because that's not necessarily in my nature. So I'm like, I'm going to have to dig deep to be like overly enthusiastic, like, So, and I think she probably got a little nervous, because I'm a little bit quiet inside of like public things like that, or just in general. When you see me sometimes in person, I'm just a little like more reserved. But they were like, no, we really need like big reactions. And I was like, oh, okay, oh gosh, I'm still trying to get my hair to dry. Sorry. So I'm trying to get it to not do unruly things while I'm live. So I'm sorry if it bothers you that I'm touching it. Yes, so my husband is in the video. You can see him kind of looking at me, and the whole time I was also like, why didn't you just do it? And he's like, no, I'm not meant for this type of thing. And I was like, I'm not either. And he's like, yes, you are. And I was like, oh. So we get there, but they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna call you up at this certain time, and this is gonna be the segment, and you'll know that it's gonna be you, and just jump up and down and be real excited. And then she's like, but we don't really know what Drew will do. She's she's a force of her own. So, just be prepared for anything. And I was like, oh, I love that for me. Yeah, great. Because I love to not know anything about being prepared. And I'm like, great. And so then I went to go sit down, because if you've ever been to one of these shows, you'll know that there's a lot of waiting behind the scenes. Like, you get into a little holding tank area and you wait, and you sometimes have snacks or go to the bathroom, and then they file into the area and you wait, or you do something and then you wait. And then, and then like someone comes out and says, okay, when this light goes on, you yell and scream like crazy. And and you're like, okay. So while we were there, people are like, are you on the show? And I was like, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. So I just said, oh, they're going to maybe do a trivia question. They said maybe I could answer a trivia question. And so people are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Fun side story, side fact. I sat next to a guy and his wife. They were celebrating. She had just written a book, and his name was Jake, and he worked at State Farm. And I just lost it. I was like, do people do that to you all the time? He's like, oh my gosh, all the time. And he's like, I think it's funny. But I'm like, it's Jake from State Farm. And he's like, yeah, all the time. I thought that was funny. So Jake from State Farm, if you're out there, it was lovely to meet you and sit next to you for an hour back there. So then we're going up to the studio area, and then they see me and they pull me aside and they say, oh, your seat's over here. So they actually sat me towards the front, and I was like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? Like, it's not sitting in the back, Price is Right, running up from the back. You're sitting up front in these like fun, like cushy chairs. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I was right in the front, and I got to like watch them do their bits. Now, I did discover that when they said there were 3 people, that was true, because the other 2 people were sisters, and looks like they were chosen to do this. It was like a game show segment, and it was with Jaleel White, who, if you don't know, on Family Matters played Steve Urkel. And not only that, I did notice that what you see in the studio and then the version that they show either on YouTube, or I don't know exactly what was aired on TV, they edit out quite a lot, and they do a lot of cuts, because there was some stuff like that was happening, some jibber jabber and just making conversation that never made it on the show. Like, there was one thing where she was like prepping to say like the iconic "did I do that" line, and he was like telling her how to do it, and none of that really, like, that conversation was happening. So they seemed to edit a lot. But the 2 women got to play this remake. It's kind of like almost like Family Feud, if you will. But they got then to go up and stand next to Drew Barrymore and Ross Matthews, which is her co-host, and then Jaleel White being the host of the show, right? So they kind of did a reenactment of the show, and they got a lot of screen time. They got like a good 5-minute segment where it's just them back and forth doing like these trivia questions, and then at the end, not only that, because they kind of tied, they ended up giving them these robot vacuum things. Think like Roomba, but with also like scrubbing action. Okay. And this little Roomba thing was worth like $900. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then she's like, just like Oprah, it's like, you get a vacuum and you get a vacuum. And she's like, actually, everyone's getting one. So we all got $900 robot vacuum things as well. So one for me and one for my husband. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do with this other one? We're gonna have to give one to his mom or something. She was like, I'll take it. When we told her at the family reunion about like, we won the vacuum thing, because we didn't say anything about the trip to Scotland, which is, spoiler alert, this is coming up, but you saw it on my socials. But we told her we both got these $900 vacuums. Like, what do we do? She's like, I'll take one. I'm like, well, maybe that's how that's gonna work. So I'm sitting in the front, they're doing their trivia thing, so I know that I'm coming up fairly soonish, I will say. So they ended up getting way more screen time, speaking roles, all this stuff, and but I end up getting something way more valuable. I think so. I think I came out the winner in the end, because I really didn't have to do very much. Now, then they come out and they have the guest, and the guest is James McAvoy. And I had been doing research, y'all. I went deep on the research train, which was completely unnecessary, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But I had been studying, like, when is his birthday? I'm like, it's in April. Okay, y'all. I'm like, where was he born? Glasgow. Okay. Like, what movies has he been in? I started like looking at the Wikipedia and trying to like study his different roles, and like, what were the names of the people, or who were they married to, and trying to be like, like, oh, he was this guy in Wanted with Angelina Jolie was his, He was this guy in Split, and he worked with M. Night Shyamalan, and then worked with, so I was trying to be like, whatever they're going to ask me, I think I'm going to be ready for this. I'm going to be ready. And then the game wasn't actually a trivia question for me at all. It was a trivia question for James McAvoy. So they decided to play a game, which I guess they've played once or twice before in the history of the show, I think with Scottish actors as being the catapult and reason why they would do this. But they decided to play a game that they've played before called What's Under Ross's Kilt. So the co-host would go in and change and put on a kilt and then have something underneath his kilt that the guest star would have to try and guess what it was. And if it was guessed correctly, an audience member got a prize. And I was that audience member. So then what they did is they started to play the game. And I'm like, I'm mouth... And again, they were like, we don't know. She may come up to you. She may not. She may try and ask you a question. We just ask, keep it really brief. And so I was like, I can't go on. I can't gush about how much I love her, all these different things. So I was like, keep it brief, keep it enthusiastic, smile, right? And those were my walking orders. And they said, yeah, so someone in the audience is going to win like a prize, and it's Shelly. And then they're like, is there a Shelly here? So I'm like, yeah, that's me. My Price is Right moment, right? Which was not as enthusiastic as you see as the people on Price is Right, but I tried my best, y'all. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me, yay. And they were like, and when you hear about the prize, just whatever it is, like, can you please just be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It doesn't really matter what the prize is. They were like, but in this case, it's a really good prize. So it shouldn't be that hard, but just really be enthusiastic about the prize. And I was like, sure, I'll be enthusiastic about the prize. So it turns out the prize was a 10-day trip to Scotland, which I was definitely surprised and excited by. But almost later, I was talking to my husband, and they were like, that's weird. They asked if I'd ever been to Scotland. He's like, do you think that they're going to give us a trip to Scotland? I was like, no, that would be insane. That would be crazy. He was right. So I was like, is that possible? Would they do that? I don't know. But it turns out, so I'm, they say, oh, it's Shelly. And I was like, oh my God, that's me. She comes up, she makes a beeline for me. And I'm like, oh my God, she's coming. And so I'm like, how do I like play this up? Like, I'm just so excited. So I literally say, oh my gosh, she's coming. She's coming. And then she makes a beeline for me. And I don't, like, if you know this about me in real life, I'm not a huge hugger. It's not in me. Like, one, maybe to say goodbye or hello if you haven't seen the person in a really long time, but like other words, no. I joke that like people get a hug on their birthday. Like maybe once a year you get an annual hug, but like other than that, I don't really do it. But she's coming at me. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to hug you. She used like a little torpedo and coming at me, a little blonde torpedo. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So I hug her. And she's like, is there anything that we need to know about you? And I was like, I can't go on and on about tons of things that you should know about me. And they're like, you can't self-promote. You can't say anything really about, your job unless it's like really pointedly asked at you. And so I just said like, I love winning, so please win. It was basically, and they were like, perfect. So as they start to guess the questions and whatnot, I'm thinking out loud too. And then they said something about this was the creator of like SNL, and I was like, Lorne Michaels. And then I was like, I was literally going through my head and being like, is there something called Lorne? There has to be something called Lorne. And it's funny because once they said Lorne, you could see James McAvoy's like head kind of go like, oh, like Lorne, because the answer was Lorne sausage, or square sausage as they call it. And so once he heard Lorne, and they guessed it right, and they kind of celebrated it, and then Drew was like, oh yeah, Shelly. So they were like, oh yeah. But what's funny is I did get a chance to yell at James McAvoy just for a minute. I don't think they had it at all. They cut it out. But like as they're starting to like go through the questions, he's like, I don't know. And then he like kind of looked at me like, I don't know if I'm going to get this. And I said, don't you screw this up for me, or something like that. I'm like, don't you mess this up for me, McAvoy. I want this trip. He's like, I'm trying. I just thought that was funny that like I'm this audience member and I'm just like yelling at this movie star, being like, don't you mess this up for me. And I'm like, how Shelly is that? That's very Shelly. And they did not show that, but I just am letting you know that happened, that I said, don't you screw this up for me, McAvoy. And he didn't. He got the prize right. And so and then they were like, you're going to win. And the prize is a 10-day trip to Scotland. And so then I'm like, oh my gosh, they really did do it. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be flabbergasted that this is that. So I just do the only thing I think. I was like, okay, well, just stand up and like jump up and down and like go in a circle like a little dog does, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's what they used. They couldn't have been nicer. Every single person was really, really nice. They had actually, I have hair on my lip. I can feel it. They put a microphone on me, which was kind of fun. And I felt like, you know, every single time I wear a little lavalier mic like that, I don't know if you could see that I was wearing one, but I always kind of feel like Britney Spears. I just always have that moment where I'm like, oh, baby, baby. Always. First thing that goes through my head when I wear a lavalier mic. But so I do that. They go through the show. And then at the very end of the show, someone comes over with a clipboard and says, you'll have to sign this for your taxes. I had to sign twice. Once for the robot vacuum because it was over I think it was like $600. Anything that you win on a show that's over $600, you have to sign a tax form. So because we got the robot vacuum, and we also got like a $10 like face mask. So I was like excited for that too. I was like, yay, a robot vacuum, a face mask, and a trip to Scotland. But I did look at the paperwork separately for the Scotland trip, and it's technically it's like an 8 or 9 day trip to Scotland, and there are tours included and there's flight included. And so they had listed a numeric value of like just under $10,000. It was like 9,987 something, right? So that trip was technically worth $10,000. The robot vacuum on top of it was worth $900, and then the face mask was worth like another $20. So because my husband convinced me to make a 58-second video, I walked away from that experience with basically $11,000 worth. So I made $11,000 off of a 58-second video. Now, if that isn't a true testament to the power of how one video can change your life, which is getting us segued into the next part of this. I don't know a better story, but I do actually, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to start right now. So first of all, comments, questions, concerns about anything that I've shared. See, and the thing is, Chantel, because I'll only see you in person maybe once a year at VidSummit or something like that, that would fall under the alignment of once a year hug. You would qualify. Now, if I saw you twice and it wasn't your birthday, you might not get a hug on the second time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's why some people might not be like weird or like know about that rule, because VidSummit is the one time I come out. I see them once a year. They get a hug. That's how the math works. So it looks like, oh, she hugs lots of people all the time. It's because I haven't seen you in a year. That's how that math works. All right. I was recently in a Facebook group, and I saw a post from a gentleman who was quite disgruntled, who said, I'm so tired of all of these people, YouTube gurus, other people in Facebook groups, just the higher powers that be, always saying that you're one video away. You're one video away from success or blowing up or, you know, money or monetization. And I just feel like I'm so tired of hearing it, and I hate it, and I want people to stop, and I don't like it. Okay. And I understand that frustration because I make videos now that still don't get viewed, right? I had a call today with Keely, and I was pouring my heart out, just basically being like, sometimes I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should give up. I don't know if, I'm going to tell y'all something, because there's only 4 of us right now, and we're talking between friends. There was a list made on YouTube from someone who I consider to be a friend, and they listed a whole bunch of YouTube gurus that they respect or they admire, or reasons why to follow them. And my name wasn't on that list, and I'm friends with this person. And I was a little bit like butthurt about it, just being like, do you not see me? Do I not count? Am I not good enough? Or was it like, you think I'm not good enough, or you just disregarded and forgot about me? Either way, it doesn't feel good. And I was telling her, I was like, I just felt really not great in that moment. I felt overlooked, underappreciated. Not that I need my friends to call me out, but it was just like, they listed a ton of people, like a ton. They'd be like, this person has experience in editing or something other than trying to make a channel about making a channel growth. Or he's like, this person is going to help you with brand deals. Or these people have all grown their channels to 100,000, one of which hadn't, that was listed there. And I'm not going to be bitter Betty and be like, actually, this person that you listed in this actually isn't at 100,000. But there was something in me that just like visibly shrank and like shriveled a bit, where I was like, you either don't see me, don't respect me, don't believe that I should be on this list, or you like just completely forgot about me. And I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it's better that I'm not on a list that's like, you should not follow this person. But I will say it hurt my feelings. But I understand that people can get upset about the sentiment that it only takes one video. Now, that being said, there are instances that we can point to where it only took one video for people to blow up, for them to be known, for stuff like we got Cash Me Outside girl, right? We got Hawktua girl. We got the van girl with her very first video, and her albino snake before she got that. Her first video was like, bam, out the gate. We got cranberry juice drinking skateboarding guy, right? One video. And there are many instances that we can point to. Is there one video made them famous? One video, if it was Brittany Broski originally with the kombucha reaction with the face. We have lots of instances where it was one video. It was one video that did something for them, that made them known for something, that did have them blow up for something. And if you want to be truthful about it, I have a video on my TikTok with like a sound with my father. And that video is still my #1 viewed video, as much as I would not like it to be. You know, like I've told you all that story about going viral for the wrong reasons and having 5 million views on that TikTok video. You know, or like I had, it's just one of those things where sometimes it really does only take one video. And I wanted to talk about that because it is a double-edged sword, but it's also this meaning where I was like, okay, I've made a lot of videos, but it was that one video that got me onto the Drew Barrymore show, that got me in front of James McAvoy, that got me a 10-day trip to Scotland, that got me a robot vacuum that also mops, that got me a face mask, that got me on television, you know. So in that instance, it is true. One video did that for me. One video changed my life. But at the same time, I think there is something to be said about, like, I have a body of work as well that helps support or got me to that point, but I digress. The point is, I understand that people have a lot of feelings about the one more video. And I just wanted to say, this is proof that one video can change your life. One video can make the difference. But I also understand the cynicism, the skepticism, and the, a little bit honestly, like anger and frustration that comes with now making, I've probably made thousands of videos. I'm not exaggerating, between the beauty channel, between the Twitch channel, between this main channel, between my TikTok. I've made thousands of videos, and only a few of them have changed my life. You know what I mean? Some in ways that I would not like, in attention that I didn't want, and some in ways that were positively awesome. So I just want to share that with y'all. So I get both ends of that argument, but I thought it was worth talking about. Third thing that I want to talk with y'all about is the fact that I got a new phone. And I am someone who sometimes tries to build in public, and I'm coming back to that phrase specifically here in topic 4 that we're going to talk about. If you saw it, I made a YouTube short and a TikTok video about my inability to be a tech person, famous unboxer, as you see, like the aesthetic unboxing of the phone. You know, I tried to do a thing where you drop it in the hand and you do all the things, and there's just a compilation of me continually dropping the phone because I couldn't catch, because I was like awkwardly trying to hold the phone on this little tripod, get it close enough to the front so that it would obviously fall into frame at the right place. So trying to hold my hand here, drop the phone in, but dropping it from enough distance so it looked like it had some velocity, but then like not being able to catch it and having to fall on the table a few times. I'm not the most athletic, what can I say? Obviously I'm a pro. But I was trying, okay? But I thought it was funny enough to post the bloopers of that and be like, I'm not very good at this. And then I also posted the unboxing. So I said, let's give it a try. Here we go. Now, when I say building in public, that's kind of what I mean. It's like, it's not perfect. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. I totally messed up on this. And then I posted the thing. Now, if you only saw the unboxing, which now I think is doing pretty well on my channel. I think it says, if I go back and look, I think it has almost 7,000 views. Okay. Oh, 8,000 views. So it has 8,000 views of me doing the doing the unboxing. But the one where I did the mess up and mistake, that is technically attached to that video, has 500 views. Okay. So I tried to say, this is embarrassing how many times this took for me to try and catch this phone. So I want you to know, I mess up all the time. I mess up in public. I mess up while I'm building, and I still try and share the end result with you. And I think one of the things that Keely, thank you, Keely, was trying to tell me today was like, you don't always have to try and be the person who teaches or the person who has all the advice. You can just be sometimes the person who's building in public. Again, we're coming back to building in public. And I was like, yeah, maybe it takes some of the pressure off myself because one, if I'm not going to be viewed in certain circles as having credibility and be put on people's lists, then yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not at a point yet where Daryl Eves is asking me to talk on his stage, except for to introduce the people that he has deemed worthy to grace that stage. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I still have work to do. I'm working on it, and I'm working in public. I'm building in public. I'm still trying, and y'all see me trying. And I don't have to be the person who has all the answers, but I can try and be the person who, like that encouraging big sis that brings you along and shows you the ugly parts as well. So, hey, Doc Rock is in the house. It's great to see you, buddy. How are you? She always asks about me. That's so sweet. She's so sweet. I miss you guys too. Let me know when you come back through this creator camp that's coming up. Plans for that? How's that going? Tell me all the things with that. Last thing I'm going to say about building in public. You may have seen that, quick shout out, side note, because I did just get a phone, I want to show y'all one of the phone cases that I got. Shout out to Technically T for recommending the Smartish Gripzilla. I got this one, and so far I'm really liking it. It's one of my first. I got two phone cases. One is a pink one, and then this one. Okay, so this one has lots of grippiness along the sides to make it really easy for you to grip. It has this open area here for the camera control button. I like this one because not only is it still MagSafe, but still lets the color of the phone show through. And it has these reinforced corners on the edges for if you are going to drop it, it's going to be protected. And this phone by itself as a slab phone is pretty wobbly if you don't have anything on it. Like on my other phone, I have the D brand skin. I can show it to you actually. I've already reset the phone because I'm trying to sell it. And then someone asked me a question about the battery percentage, and I was like, oh shoot, I should have checked that before I reset the phone. But here is the old phone. So if anyone wants to buy my old phone, you can. I'm going to keep the D brand skin on it, and I'll keep the SnapLux phone thing, which is $25 and $40. So there you go. That's worth an extra bit. And if you put this phone down on a table, it wobbles quite a lot. Now, this one, because it has the raised area here for the camera bump, it makes everything actually really secure on the table, so it sits nice and flat. So, and another thing, I wasn't going to, but I did decide to go. I did not like the battery life on the 15 Pro. So I was like, I should have gotten the Pro Max. I should have known better. I wanted the 5x zoom, but I was like, no, I can't do that large phone. And then when the 16s were announced, the 16 Pro did get a bigger size and a bigger battery. So I was like, maybe I should just do that. And then I was like, no, girl, you already committed. You're going to do the large phone. You want the largest battery, all this stuff. And I'm actually really glad that I did it. But I have decided that I am now in the camp of, I think I need to bump up the font size one. And I did. And you know what? It's been great. Someone told me that I should do that on my computer screen. I'm like, I'm not there yet. But this, I did bump it up one. I am there. Okay. So, shout out again to Technically T. I bought two phone cases. One was his recommendation. One was just one that I wanted to pick up. It's not as good. I should have known better and trusted T for the second one, but I was like, I'm going to get one that he recommends and one that I really just want to, because it was pink. All right. Literally because it was pink. And I got it and it just wasn't that good. So shout out to him. He knows his phone cases, and at least this one's still a winner. Gripzilla, okay, by Smartish. Building in public. Our friend MKBHD, or Marquez Brownlee, recently released an app. The app is a wallpaper app, and people are furious at him because it has either a monthly subscription or an annual fee. Annual fee is $50. Monthly subscription, I think, is around $11. And people are like, who do you think you are? That's Spotify and Netflix prices. And here's the thing, it's like no one is forcing them to buy anything. And he's also splitting profits with the artists. And it's a very niche product, and it's not for everybody, but for those who want it, maybe they want it. Let them buy it in peace. And if you change out your wallpaper once a week and you download 52, one for every week, then, you paid $1 a wallpaper or less, So here's the thing. If people want to buy the wallpaper, let them. But people are like crucifying him for all these different things. And he also said like, hey, you guys, I'm building in public. I am trying to answer your questions. I hear you on this thing about the permissions which are standard in every single app. Just like everyone who used to be like, I can't say that TubeBuddy or vidIQ has to have access to my YouTube channel. I'm like, that's the permissions that Google has put out that we have to ask. Otherwise, we can't do stuff on your channel. Sorry. Like, we're just complying with the rules. But like, I feel like it's the same thing. It's like a lot of the same things that are being asked for all the apps inside of the App Store. And then you can ask them not to track or whatever else it is. But it is what it is. And if it's not for you, then don't buy it. There's also a free level where as long as you watch one ad, I think you still get just a lower resolution of that same wallpaper. So there are still options if you don't want to pay the fee. Or you don't have to use the app at all. But I think it's just really funny. I mean, he is hearing the feedback. He is trying to be like, okay, less ads on the free thing. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to try and scale back the permissions that are asked and the verbiage that's used. Okay, I hear you. And then he's like, as far as the price, because we're splitting with artists and there are other things coming in the future, like we've made it as affordable as we can. And you know what? And I think that there are other things coming to it. And he seemed to hint in one of his videos that it's like the first stop, but it's not the only thing that they're going to be offering. And that's the whole thing, is people are really, really upset about it. And I'm like, you're upset about this wallpaper that is optional to buy, but then later you're going to post on your, your Twitter feed or whatnot about your drink of the day from Starbucks that with all the additives and the extra special instructions probably cost you $8. But that was fine, and I'm like, people pick and choose what they want to spend their money on. Is it something that I'm going to buy? No, not necessarily, because I'm really lazy. I have 2 wallpapers and I just carry them over from phone to phone to phone. But I could understand a small group of people that would like it. And that's fine. If they want to spend their money on it, fine. Let them. And if you're not one of them, then don't do it. I don't understand. What else do you need? No one is forcing anyone to buy anything. So I just think that it's really funny that people are so quick to be like, you killed a car company and you killed Rabbit or Humane, and now they're, tides are turning. And I was just like, or are they? Or are they not? Just let people live their lives. I just don't understand how some people are really caught up in the this is fair or this is unfair about it all. And I'm like, maybe you need to go outside and, as the kids say, like, touch some grass. Maybe you need to, play with some puppies, or, talk with a loved one. Just step away from the keyboard for just a little bit. It's just my 2 cents. Maybe just step away. And, yeah. Now, that being said, there are some life changes that are going to be happening for me as well in the next few months. I haven't really talked about it publicly yet, but this is the time, I guess, to do it. And this will be my last season with the team that I'm on for dancing. I'll be joining a new venture. So I'm sure people are going to have things to say about that. I'm sure people have things to say about the new thing I joined. I have, I have no doubt that people are going to be talking about stupid stuff that has nothing to do with them because they have time. And, That's how I feel about kind of like the online stuff. People getting upset about Marquez and the apps, or people getting upset about other things that people have tweeted and said and subquoted. And I'm like, do you know them in real life? Pick up the phone, have a conversation. Is this what you meant? I didn't like this. Let's work it out. If you don't know them, maybe just block them, unfriend them, stop looking at it. I've really actually had to start taking this advice myself, and I've started to remove myself from different things that get me all heated up about something that I have no vested interest in. So now I'm like, I can't see it. I'm going to exit out of this conversation, Taylor Swift style. Like, I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative. So I'm unfriending people that I haven't interacted with in the last year, or that I have no intention of going forward and like continuing to just have in the periphery to have. I have no problem with reducing the amount of people that I follow because they don't align with what I want to look at. And like, if they want to be upset about it, then they can call me on the phone. And if they don't have my phone number, they're probably not a good enough friend to be upset about enough to, you know what I mean? So it is what it is at this point. So people think what we create is free. The comment trash cleaning alone is a whole job. Truth. And Doc saying, hey, Chantel, and hey, Pia. So I wanted to share that all with you. And I do want to say, one last shout out for having an accountability group, having friends in the space that you can chat with, because I'll tell you, I was feeling real low when I was talking with Keely, and Keely really tried to help me put some stuff in perspective. I was feeling low about not being included on this guy's list. I was feeling low about just my current situation and where I am with my own YouTube channel. I was feeling low about just honestly a lot of things. And she did help me find some perspective in some of it. And so I'm by no means cured. I'm not fixed, but it was nice to get out of my own head and the narrative that I'm spinning for myself, and at least have someone else give me a different perspective, give me something else to think about, give me a new view of either how I view myself or how others may view me. And that was refreshing and nice. And I hope that you have someone like that in your life that can maybe also do that for you sometimes. And if it needs to be me, then so be it. But Chantel says, hey, Doc Rock, I'm going to put this on screen. Your encouragement has not only pushed me to Ecamm Fam with my Mac Mini, but my next laptop will be a MacBook Pro, not Windows. Eep. I regularly blame you. I blame Doc Rock for a lot of things too. We have gear acquisition syndrome because of Doc Rock. Doc, did I tell you? I don't know if I told you, but I just got the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I'm trying to push myself to do more things, to film more stuff, to use gear. And I'm hoping you guys are going to be a little bit interested in that journey. So I'm going to have maybe some stuff like how I'm making videos maybe with my phone, or how I'm using the DJI, which is why I was like doing the unboxing, to at least kind of start to prep the waters a little bit, to be like, I want to talk about some of this stuff. I want to talk about, some of the gear, or like the video stuff and how we make it, or maybe we do a couple of CapCut tutorials, maybe a couple of InShot tutorials, because I don't want to be beholden to any one platform. I think we've gone down that road. I already know that's not for me, but I just, I want to have some more fun and be more exploratory, and just actually be like, between you and I and the wall, it can't get much worse in terms of views for my own channel. So I might as well have fun with the content that I'm making, because, right, there's nowhere when you're already at the like sub 30 views for every video you put out that is going to get worse, or you know what I mean? So it's like, I might as well just have some fun. So Karen just started a channel, uploaded her first video this week, basically walks around Hawaii. You know what? I know another person that does that. 2 other people that do that, in fact. So Photoluke Hawaii, he's also on Twitch. And then also my friend, Brother Bruce. And I think you know Brother Bruce. He is in a lot of the chats and whatnot too. But Brother Bruce also does a lot of walk around with me vlogs, and or like time lapses and different things to shot with GoPro and whatnot. So Brother Bruce and Photoluke Hawaii both live in Hawaii and do the thing. So yeah, that's all I want to share with y'all for now. That's why we're early, and we're gonna end this stream so I can, Luke. So I'm going to go meet up with my friends and have a good time there. I'm excited to see them. Thank you all for hanging out with me. hopefully the story at the very beginning was a little bit a testament to how one video truly can change your life, and it was at least another illustration for you. So, and be prepared, there's going to be some weird experimentation stuff on my channel. Just warning you. I warned you, all right? Hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in a video very soon. Bye, y'all.